Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. On this channel, you can find podcast interviews and content on a whole variety of subjects, including football, mental health, films, TV, conspiracy theories, writing, wrestling, serial killers, music, and more. Today, we're talking NXT UK Takeover Cardiff, which has just finished from my hometown, Cardiff. Sadly, I couldn't go there due to my physical health problems flaring up a bit over the last few days, which was a big shame. But I watched it live, which is unique for people in the UK, certainly for me, because I'm too old to stay up till 3, 4 in the morning these days. So I always watch wrestling the day after. So I enjoyed watching it live once I got the WWE Network to work. So to join me and work through the show, I've got one of my favorite people to talk to, and it's always a good time when we talk wrestling. You'll see him featured on Post Wrestling, whether it's writing or interviewing the names from the wrestling world. Joining me today is Andrew Thompson. Welcome, Andrew. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, man. It's always good to be here. Always.
Always a good time, mate. Always a good time. So what were your overall thoughts of the show? Did you enjoy it?
Overall, I really think it was a really solid show. I enjoyed the card from top to bottom. The only gripes I had, of course, I'm sure we'll get into it, was the women's match. I felt like it was kind of flat, and I don't think it was their fault at all. I think they were really short on time, and I think that the Noam Dar versus Travis Banks match could have went a little shorter, and you put that time into the championship match that, in my opinion, matters more. So, yeah, that was my overall. It was an overall good show, though. I enjoyed the show top to bottom.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think they could have shaved a couple of minutes off the Noam Dar match. They could have shaved a couple of minutes off the Dave Mastiff match. Maybe they could have shaved a couple of minutes off the main event, because that was quite long as well, you know. But like overall, I thought it was a really, really good show. Much better than Takeover Blackpool. I thought it blew that show out of the water, to be honest. Because after I watched Takeover Blackpool, I was quite disappointed. There was some good stuff on there, but overall, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. The main event was really long, but wasn't very good, which, you know, is a big problem. If you've got this big, long main event, you need to be able to keep the audience captivated, and Takeover Blackpool didn't do that, for me at least. But today I enjoyed every single match on the card. And like I say, what for me, like watching them live is a different experience, because I tend to watch it, you know, the next morning, which is always different, because you tend to hear or see headlines or see tweets.
And it spoils it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So let's get into it. The first match is Noam Dar versus. Oh, did you watch the pre-show? I didn't.
It wasn't really nothing in the pre. It was just Vic Joseph, Nigel, and Aiden English hyping up the matches.
Okay.
They taped the NXT UK TV matches. It was Piper Niven versus Rhea Ripley, and what's the assistant general manager? Sid Scala. Yeah, Sid Scala. He took on. I think he took on Cassius. Oh no. Oh, he fought him. No. Yeah, he took on. He either took him on or he fought him. It was one of those. But they had a cool segment. So I'm guessing we're gonna see that next Wednesday.
Yeah, because when I caught up on like all the NXT UK TV last night, really, and I thought they were going to do Piper Niven versus Rhea Ripley tonight. The way they built it on TV, and then the last couple of episodes, they kind of didn't feature it as much. And obviously, they were doing it for TV. But I feel like that could be a really good match. So hopefully, because it was put on at the pay-per-view.
And saying, don't forget Rhea Ripley. She set herself up for the NXT Womens Championship with Shayna Baszler. So we'll never know what she's about to do.
Could be good. Yeah, I think funny enough, I think there's going to be some moving about between a few
NXT
brands.
Oh yeah, for sure.
NXT
for
UK. Sure. I think. Did you see Cesaro he was kind of doing the NXT with his arms.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll go to NXT Live. And I think Tony Storm will probably go there as well. But anyway, let's get into it. So, Noam Dar, Travis Banks. Noam Dar came out to a big pop. I love me some Noam Dar. Maybe it's the kind of Celtic thing. I don't know. But I just feel like he kind of gets it from a overall point of view.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His ring work's good, but he gets it like from a gimmick and entertainment point of view. He's really good in the ring. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Travis Banks. Like, he's not terrible. His ring works decent. His strikes are really good. Something doesn't quite connect for me there.
You want to know what's funny? Like I was saying the same. Well, I always say the same thing when I watch Travis Banks. Like he's a real good wrestler, but I don't know what it is. I just cannot like get into the character Travis Banks. Like I don't understand. Like there's some people I can watch and just watch their in ring work, and I'm like, okay, I get it. They're like, and I could go based solely off their in ring work, but I don't. It's not clicking with Travis Banks. Like I don't know what it is, but it's just not. It's not there.
Yeah. I agree. So yeah, the crowd was pretty hot for the first match, opening match, and they had some really good back and forth, especially early on. They were crisp and they were sharp. I particularly like Noam Dar did like a flying knee bar, and he calls it the Champagne Super Knee Bar, which is named after one of my favorite bands, which is Oasis, the Champagne Supernova. But it's like he kind of jumps up and slips in the move in the air and then comes down into the knee bar, which is really cool looking move. And I appreciate when these guys either try new moves or they try moves that other people do, but they try and put their own spin on it. It's just to make themselves stand out a bit.
Yeah, see, one thing I know that like one thing I always like about Noam Dar, and it's not really something like super likable, but he said like okay, so earlier this year, you remember when he had the injury scare at the NXT UK TV tapings? I think it was against Mark Andrews. Noam Dar had put on Instagram that he like his knee was so torn up on the inside when that happened. Like he was so close, like it was at the point where he almost had to have his leg amputated. Like it was that bad. And he put that out there public. So whenever Noam Dar sells the knee, I like that gets me like in the match automatically because I think something's wrong, and then I realize he's just selling. So yeah, he uses that to his advantage.
Yeah, and he bumped all over the place for Travis Banks tonight. He was flying around and he was selling his knee and he's selling his back, and he did as much as he could to try and get Travis Banks over. And it finished. Travis Banks hit his slice of heaven off the barricade, and then another dive and stomp for a near fall before hitting an enziguri and a shining wizard. And Dar hit the Nova Roller for the pin and the win. I thought it was a decent, good opener, decent match. Wasn't like tear the house down amazing, but there was nothing wrong with it. It was entertaining, and I'm glad Noam Dar won.
Yeah, I'm glad that was the opening match. Like you usually like for NXT for the most part, like when you see the opening matches, it's always the NXT Tag Team Championship match. The hot matches that'll surely get people going. But I'm kind of glad they got this match in first because I felt like if it was down the card, it would have got dragged a little bit and people would have just been silent. But it was good that Noam and Travis got the hot crowd, and Nigel McGuinness gave the shout out to Lionheart during this match. I think Noam Dar did a move that Lionheart used to do. He did something that Lionheart used to do, and Nigel McGuinness saluted Lionheart. It was cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, definitely. And then next up, we had the sort of little clips where you had Cesaro was coming out, and I was wondering beforehand who they were going to put him up against. And I kind of thought they might just give him a bit of a squash match just to, just so the crowd could see him.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this was fantastic use of Cesaro because Illya Dragunov, what they've done with him over the last few weeks on TV has been quite interesting. He hasn't really cut hell of a lot of promos, hasn't spoken much, but he's got over with the crowd really quickly by winning and by just his strikes and his ring work. It's really interesting to see, because sometimes when stars, when they don't speak, they do struggle to get sort of that investment from the crowd or get the crowd into their matches. But you can see he's quite popular. They both got big pops. Obviously, Cesaro's, he's a main roster star, and he got a big pop. But
Yeah, for sure.
I watched.
With Illya, like at first, like when I first got my first glimpse of Illya, well, on NXT UK, because I saw some of his stuff for OTT. But when I first saw Illya in NXT UK, this is when I got real familiar with him. I couldn't get into Illya, but like I'm starting to warm up to his character, because he's like real like aggressive, like now, like before he even like gets in the ring, like just amped up 24/7. So when I saw him walk up to Cesaro, I was like, oh yeah, they about to beat the hell out of each other. That's definitely what's about to happen right now.
Yeah, it was excellent use, like I say, of both guys. And I watched, like I said, the NXT TV yesterday, and I watched his match with Cassius Ohno, Illya Dragunov's match with Cassius Ohno on TV, and that was really good as well. It's a TV match, but still, I thought it was really, really, really good, and it did a lot of good for Dragunov, for me as well, going in. Because no one expected him to beat Cesaro. Cesaro's a main roster guy. He's not going to lose. But just watching them, like you say, they were just slapping each other, beating the crap out of each other for the whole time. Really stiff work, shall we say?
Yeah, for sure.
And the crowd was into it really, from the start all the way through to the finish. The one thing I don't like about Dragunov is that 6-1 line, where he does like the 619 sort of thing through the ropes and then comes back and does the clothesline, because to me that makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Because you just lose all momentum, you lose everything. It just looks stupid, and I can't be like that. It takes me out of it, because you got like his opponents like waiting for him to do this little spin, and it reminds me of the Dean Ambrose like rebounding in the ropes.
Yeah. Like I see a lot of wrestlers doing that now, like that through the ropes back, come back at the clothesline. Some people do make it look good and it works for some, but like that whole Illya doing the 619, I don't get it.
No sense.
But one thing I do want to say, Cardiff, they went crazy for Cesaro, man. Like they were amped up. Like it's like rare. Well, not rare, but when you promote that somebody's going to be somewhere and people still react as if they didn't know that person was going to be there, and they reacted accordingly, and they gave Cesaro the props. Like I can only imagine how good he felt being in Europe and just receiving that warm welcome, man. I know he felt good, had to.
Yeah, man, because the thing is, everyone knows how good he is. Everyone knows that if they'd ever given him a proper chance on the main roster to have a proper singles run, everyone knows that he would have done well,
100%.
And the crowd would have got behind him.
100%.
And they've just never quite got it. And I think he would be perfect now to go to, he's that bit older, so he's not like, he's starting to come down the sort of backside of his career. So put him on NXT Live, because he's a big enough name to get eyes and people will know who he is, and he's a star. But equally, that the super hardcore audience of NXT, they won't kind of turn against him. Like if they put like Roman Reigns down there or someone like that, who's like a WWE guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
He's still like an indie guy at heart, isn't he? Like Daniel Bryan or like your CM Punk.
Cesaro established his name on the independent scene. Like I get this. Like Roman is WWE made, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. And I just think Cesaro, he's not doing anything on the main roster at the moment. So let's get him on NXT, get him on those live shows, get him working with Matt Riddle, get him working with, whoever, Keithley, There's
Yeah.
loads of guys
Oh,
down
that'd be
there.
a good one.
Punishment Martinez versus Cesaro. I'd quite like to see. Let's shake it up a bit. They're going live. I'd like to see them really shake up the rosters a bit with when NXT goes live and when SmackDown goes to.
Just a quick off topic. Did you get a chance to see Keithley versus Dr Kovac on last week's NXT?
No, I haven't watched last week's NXT.
Man, whatever you do, please go watch that match.
Is it good? Is it
I,
real good?
I can't do that match justice, man. That was a real good match. They tore the house down, both of them.
Wicked. So, off topic again quickly then, seeing as we went off topic. I'll slip it in quickly. What do you think about the Fiend potentially going for the title at Hell in a Cell?
This is all I got to say. If it's versus Seth Rollins and it's for the championship, he can't lose. Like it can't be no weird finishes. He has to win. You can't do this. You can't put him in this situation and then have him lose in any kind of way. Like you put him in this match, y'all shoehorning yourself and you're putting yourself in the corner because he has to win now. And now you most likely are going to have another absentee champion again. And then it might be for bad, for negative and positive reasons, because you don't want to keep overshowing this character, this special character, and then at that you don't want to have a champion who's not there anymore. So I think you kind of you really put yourself against the wall if you do that. But if it's just against Strowman, just 1-on-1, no titles on the line, then Strowman might have to take that L, man. That might, yeah.
But you know what I would have done? If because it does seem like they want to give him a big, huge push. So I feel like what they should do is when I'd have Randy Orton beat Kofi on whatever pay-per-view it is, Clash Champions, I'd have Randy win through the Revival helping him or, cheating or whatever. And then I'd have the Fiend appear afterwards, just either stare down Randy or destroy him, and then finish that story the way it should have been finished when they fought each other at WrestleMania, by having Bray squash him, destroy him, and take the title. Randy, he has time off, then he comes back, and give him some time off, then finish their story with the Fiend getting the title and beating him inside the cell. And then you can just go wherever you want to go with it. But also, it's like a big notch on his belt. Like, he's not just squashing people, he's beating Randy Orton. But that's what I would do anyway. Rather than, even though I'd quite like to see him beat Strowman, I just think they're putting themselves in a corner if they go the Universal title route.
Yeah.
But I think I'd rather see him win it at WrestleMania myself versus a Strowman or someone like that. But yeah, anyway, I knew I was going to end up talking to you about the Fiend. I knew it. So it finishes off. Cesaro hits a GTS for a near fall before hitting a flying uppercut for another near fall. Then Dragunov hits the DVD into the corner before hitting a high angle senton for the new near fall, and then Cesaro hits a pop-up uppercut into the neutralizer for the win. Good match, very good match. Did wonders, I think, for Dragunov, because he took him close. He looked good.
He got the respect from Cesaro after the match. Yeah. That's one of the things I really like about these type of matches, especially when the person who's on the losing end gets that crowd respect at the end, because in the end it doesn't make Illya look lesser than Cesaro. Like, he looked on the same level as Cesaro, so now he can take that momentum and continue forward in NXT UK and likely get his win back from Ono.
Yeah, and what was good as well is that, not necessarily good, but what I noticed is normally when they have the show of respect and the hug, they just say something to each other and that's it. But Cesaro covered his mouth so you couldn't see what he was saying, which makes me think that it was like a genuine moment.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
he was saying something personal. But I tweeted earlier that I think Dragunov could be their kind of new diamond in the rough, if you like, someone who could really be a big star on NXT over the next 12 to 18 months if they keep booking him well. Because the way they booked him as unbeaten, and then he's lost to Cesaro and
Oh no.
But they're two established, big names. So it's like, keep doing it now, keep him, and you can, if you have his character adapt to those losses. So he's like, I lost to these big names, so I'm going to go away and, have him do a vignette about being caught out or what he needs to change or work on, and just give him some character development to go with the dominant wins. The problem is, of course, is that the NXT UK hasn't got like a mid-card title.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're in the main title hunt or you're not. And
I think the only thing missing from Illya, like he just needs to, the creative team or whoever needs to just find that one thing that makes him relatable, so to speak. Like I feel like Illya, like people obviously know he's good, but it's like, why do we care if he's good?
Yeah.
Like what makes him interesting? Like, yeah, he's aggressive. Yeah, he comes out with all this momentum, and he got the red eyes, and he has that little catchy theme song, but I don't really think a lot of people know what he's saying in that. So I don't, but it's catchy as hell, for sure. But I think one thing that he just needs is that relatable aspect, and then, like you said, they'll have that diamond in the rough.
Yeah, I think the potential's there. They seem to be doing a lot better than they were a few months ago in terms of how they're building guys, how they're booking guys. They seem to have more of a plan going forward these days. They seem to have established more guys. Like, even just from watching, I think I watched 6 episodes of the TV last night, and you can see that it's not thrown together. I wouldn't say it was thrown together before, but it was focused very much on like 2, 3, 4 guys, whereas now you've got like established lower card guys as well, which is starting to gain momentum, which means that you can interject the feuds a bit without losing people's momentum, because they're fighting with other people who've got momentum. So next up, we got the grizzled young vets versus Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, and versus Gallus, which was Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. Shout out to I've forgotten his name, Rob Wilkins, who did the Photoshop thumbnail job of me and Andrew as the grizzled young vets, which will be in the thumbnail of the YouTube video.
That was hilarious. Like, that was hilarious. Cool. Shout out to Rob, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow Rob Wilkins on Twitter. I'll tag him later on. So and I'll post a picture as well. It was good stuff. So I was really looking forward to this match because I really like the grizzled young vets. I really like Gallus.
Best tag team, like not in the world, but like they definitely are top 5, like, in the world. I don't think as many people know about grizzled young veterans, which they should. I think they're like very, very well known in the UK, but I don't think people in America know as much about Zach Gibson and James Drake as they should. Like, they are great as a team, like feed off each other, great type of team. Like the heat that Zach Gibson gets, that translates over to James Drake, and James Drake feeds off that. Like, you can see, like, in his mannerisms, like when the crowd is doing the "if you hate Gibson, shoes off," James Drake, like, he completely loses focus and like starts looking at the crowd like, what the hell is going on? Like, they are great.
Yeah, they're a real proper tag team now, aren't they? And I think they could inject a bit of quality back into the American NXT.
Oh, for sure. I would love to see them in NXT.
Doesn't have to be a permanent move. Just put them in there for a feud with the champs, for a big show. Like when you've got a big takeover, just do a champion versus champion match. Have it as the opener, and just give us one of those awesome tag team matches, because they are so good. And you're right, not enough people are talking about them. So just before the match, we had the tag team, the video package, and they do these video packages so well.
Oh yeah,
They're
for sure.
just unbelievable. And like, bear in mind, I watched these same segments last night, just as they're on their own as segments, and they're even better in the video package with the music and everything. WWE just does it so well. On all their brands, they just do these these video packages and the build up so well. Huge pop for the Welshmen as they came out, Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. I didn't expect them to win.
I didn't either. I didn't either.
I said to you yesterday that maybe they would, and they may take it off them on TV, but I didn't expect them to, just because they're not really a tag team. I know they've worked together on the indies and stuff, but they haven't been built up as a pair. They were kind of been, since NXT UK started, they've always been singles guys, and then just recently they've kind of come together.
Yeah,
they were really over.
Yeah, the one thing I like, well, hindsight being 2020, I think it was the right move to put the tag titles on them, because it, like, it's as far as like the established feuds in NXT UK that happened tonight, besides Cesaro and Illya, the heels won. Like, Noam won, Caylee Ray won, and Walter won. So there wasn't really that big moment for NXT, for specifically NXT UK. I'm putting Cesaro to the side. And I think that, like, it was, and you literally got these dudes in a hometown. Like, Mark Andrews is really from Cardiff, Wales. Like, some people, they say they're from a specific area, but they're not really from that area. Like, they'll be from somebody will be from, like, they'll say they from Brooklyn. Yeah, just out there, exactly. But Mark Andrews, he's legit from Cardiff. So yeah, I think that was just a perfect time to put the titles on them, and they'll probably lose it at the tapings tomorrow, likely.
They probably will.
I hope not, but I don't, because I don't like the short title reigns.
No,
but
me neither. Especially because the grizzled young vets, who were the first champs, second champs, sorry.
No, they were the first champs.
Of course they were. They beat Mustache Man, didn't they? But like, they've established it with the big long run, and they've beaten guys, and they've had good matches. So it feels like you want to see them carry on that. And Flash, I thought, fair play. The Wales chants gave me a little warm feeling at the start, because I'm not used to hearing that in the wrestling. I've heard it at football and I've heard it at rugby, but I've never heard it at wrestling. So that was really cool. The Gallas theme is one of my favorite themes in wrestling. It's a real cool theme.
I do want to ask you something just real quick. Do you think this match would have been better if Gallus was not in it? Like, you think it would have been good if it was just Grizzled Young Veterans versus Flash Morgan and Mark Andrews?
So I enjoyed what Gallus did. I thought it was decent enough, but the majority of the work was done by the other two teams, which to me says that they probably could have done it 2-on-2 and had just as good a match, maybe if not better. So yeah, possibly. But I've starting to turn the corner on Gallus. I wasn't a fan. I really liked the Prestige in ICW when they had the Coffee Brothers and Joe Hendry.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed their work in ICW, but I was a bit unsold on Gallus. But they're slowly starting to turn the corner a bit, slowly. But it was a good match. They sold me a ticket a couple of times with the near falls. There was one time the Welsh boys hit the Slumdog Millionaire, followed by like a swanton onto the back of the guy, and I thought that was it. First Welsh champs, getting a bit excited, and then when that didn't happen, and the crowd bought it as well, I thought, oh, they're going to just go for the sort of nearly but not quite, and then there was a pop. The grizzled young vets hit the Helter Skelter and then a 450.
I love that combination. I love that combination, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a great move, great looking stuff. But everyone thought that was it because they won with that move. They've won with and this is the thing with all wrestling and wrestlers, teams or individuals, is if you use more than one move to win matches, rather than just having your one finisher, I always think if you've got a couple, it's easier to sell those near falls without having to spam a load of finishers being kicked out of, because that way you can kind of keep the finisher to be a bit more special. And I feel like WWE does turn to that a little bit too much. Not so much NXT, but they do it. Is they go for the finisher kick out as the sort of peak of the match type thing, instead of maybe having a couple of good, like the Helter Skelter and the 450. They've won with that several times. So that was a huge moment because everyone thought they won, including me. And then when the Welsh boys kicked out, it was amazing. The crowd went even louder and even sort of, it peaked even more. And then everyone was down and the Gallas sort of got up from outside the ring. And I really liked what Wolfgang did when he came in, because he hit like a crossbody to the guy on the floor, and he hit like a senton. But instead of just doing them, he kind of like run and did them on an angle, so they look different. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm all for guys trying to make their stuff stand out or make their stuff look different. And everyone does sentons and crossbodies, but just the way he kind of went about doing it just made it look a bit different. And I'm all for that.
Yeah, there was one spot during this match where I believe it was I want to say it was Zach Gibson that had Wolfgang on his shoulders, and he told James Drake to come and do like a suicide dive. He flipped Wolfgang over, and I was praying Wolfgang didn't land on his neck. Man, that was a real good spot.
Yeah, it was like a doomsday device, but instead of them doing the clothesline, they did a dive through the ropes, and it was on the outside. Yeah, you're right. That was an awesome spot. But you're right. Just for that split second, you were like waiting for the replay just to make sure he didn't land like smack bang on his head or something. And yeah, a couple of times, like I thought by the end, towards the latter third of the match, I was like, the Welshmen have come close. They're not going to do it, because like several times they thought they had it, and then something happened. They pulled the ref out. They kicked out. And then all of a sudden, I think it was Drake, was it? Gibson sends Drake to knock Gallas off the apron.
Mm-hmm.
And they hit him with the, what was it? I forget what it's called. The Ticket to Mayhem. And then a shooting star press, and Flash pins him with the rolling Flash cover. Win. First ever Welsh champions in the WWE.
That crowd went nuts when the 3 count hit. They went crazy. Like that was a real cool reaction like that. Like it is one thing like I love in wrestling, like I don't know what it is, but it's when wrestlers come back to their hometowns or their home countries, because like the reaction is so genuine. It is so like it's a special moment. Like this was like a perfect, if there was any time if you want to get the tag titles off of Grizzled Young Veterans, like it was now. That needed to happen, to have that moment for Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan. And now I'm excited to see where they go from here. But the only thing is NXT UK, I think they need to start beefing up their tag team division, because I don't want it to become like New Japan in a way, because New Japan, they sort of stuck in the same teams, man. Like you gotta start switching it up. Like trust me, I'm not complaining if we get another Grizzled Young Veterans versus Flash Morgan and Mark Andrews match, but I think like after a while you're gonna start need to beat the teams up a little bit.
Yeah, get some teams in there. They I gotta say, like tonight was quite a big thing for like Welsh wrestling fans, because whenever the WWE tape in the UK, it's in London, occasionally in Manchester. It's never in Wales or Cardiff. So like tonight was a big deal. So to have those Welsh wrestlers win the titles was huge. And like Wales is only a small country, so it was a big deal. And Flash Morgan Webster, I thought was outstanding for the whole match. I love his gimmick, because I'm a big fan of like the mod fashion and the mod music, but I wasn't really sure how it fit into like works in a wrestling environment. And I haven't always been the biggest fan of him. Like his work is good, and I like the idea of his gimmick, but I've never quite been able to put the two together from a personal point of view. But I thought his as a baby face, like a high flying baby face today, I thought he was outstanding. I thought he was selling was on point. Everything was crisp in the ring, and good stuff for the Welshman. So that's what their tag team name is in my eyes now, is the Welshman. But I thought that at this point was easily, obviously it was only the second match, but that was the best match of the night.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, like when we got to that,
I think it was probably the second.
When I got to that point, that was. I say when I got to that point, that was probably the best match of the night so far, up until that point.
I think it was probably the second best match on the night, anyway. Probably, but that's subjective, anyway. So next up, we had Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff, last man standing. Not a massive fan of either of these guys, I've got to be honest. However, I did really enjoy it. I just felt it went
a little too long.
3 or 4 minutes too long. If they had just cut like 4 minutes, 5 minutes off it, I think it would have been a really good match for what it was. Like when they did the entrances, Coffey came out with a chain on his hand. Mastiff sprints to meet him on the ramp. And that sets the tone. You know what you're going to get. It's just going to be this all-out brawl. They're going to beat the crap out of each other. And obviously from the TV, Coffey had the ear injury from where he'd been caught by Dave Mastiff. And Mastiff had the kind of liver injury where they had the brawl. Did you see the where he split his ear open?
Yeah, was TV? That? So I'm trying to figure out was that like that was legit, right? Like that was like a legit injury because I saw he had the
right.
He had the cover. He had something on his ear, and it looked like it was that was what it was deriving from the original injury. Like it was like recovering. So yeah, he really got blasted when Dave hit him on NXT UK TV. Yeah.
He's like a proper right hook, and as he went round, he kind of caught him with his like the hard part of his palm.
He clubbed
right
him.
On the bottom. Yeah. Oh yeah, and he's a big boy as well, isn't he, Dave Mastiff? So you've got to feel that. And yeah, it was the last man standing match. You know what it's going to be. It's going to be, just brutal, hard-hitting stuff. They had pool cues, cricket bats, chains, tables, chairs.
What did you think of the spot that started off with the turnbuckle?
I was going to say, I thought it looked really good the way they did it because they got the timing down. It was like a really powerful Irish whip. And the top turnbuckle like flung off, and the way it came off really quick. I quite liked it, something different, and it kind of again set the tone early on. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a cool spot. Like I definitely wasn't expecting it, so it was good that it caught me off guard.
Yeah,
that was like it's like real interesting to see like different ways for them to like just wrestling in general, like the way they get the. Like those spots where the ring breaks or the turnbuckle breaks, like it's always interesting to see how they come up with new stuff to do that.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because they've got to come up with different things and different ways to do these things. And I thought they got the time into it really, really down. And because they they're big guys, and he really hit the turnbuckle so hard that when it came off, it didn't just drop down, it like flung off across the ring, which I thought was pretty cool. So here's a question for you. I noticed a couple of little things over the last few episodes of the TV, and I think that they may be doing a slow face turn on Gallus. What do you reckon?
Gallus face, I can't see Gallus doing a face
turn. Slow burn, I reckon.
Like for me personally, I can't see Gallus being a face turn. Like they just like exuberate just being heels. Like they just like natural heels. Like the only thing I can see happening with them is them going up against another heel team and being positioned as the baby face in that feud. That's something I can
Yeah,
see happening.
yeah. Um, just a couple of things I noticed, and at some points in the match, they were kind of giving it like coffee just won't stay down, and that's normally like the baby face role within the last man standing match, isn't it? Not saying that they will. It was something that sprung. I just thought, are they doing that? Because it just seems like they might be just planting some seeds, and they need face tag teams. They need tag teams overall, because then
Yeah.
if you did turn Gallas to like a tweener or like a slightly face team, there's only the grizzled young vets as heel teams, and I know they like the Hunt, but I mean, I don't think I want to see the Hunt as tag team champs. I've got to be honest.
But
Like,
to your point, when you talked about how they the way they portrayed Joe Coffey, like they said he won't stay down and stuff like that. I think it was a reason they were doing that was to further make Dave Mastiff look like a beast, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
and that kind of jumping ahead here kind of like factored into the finish. Like it made it seem like Joe Coffey escaped Dave Mastiff
yeah,
instead of
yeah.
beating Dave Mastiff, so that gives more credibility to Joe.
He's so agile, Dave Mastiff, for a guy his shape and size. He did like a flying cannonball through the table on the
Tables,
outside.
yeah.
And one of the spots I really liked in this match was when they were on the outside in the crowd, and Dave Mastiff had two chairs, and he kind of laughs and gives one to Joe Coffey. I didn't like that bit, I think, because I just felt like that was a bit dumb. But then once they've got a chair each, they kind of take like a 15, 20-yard run up, and they just run into each other and smash into each other with the chairs like a couple of balls, which I thought was quite unique and something different again, which is
Yes,
what you want to see.
I really like the way that was shot, like the camera angle, like that
Yeah,
really looked,
yeah,
that was like cool, like they were jousting, like he was like waiting
yeah,
for him to
yeah.
come, and then they both ran into each other. And then another nice shot was they showed like the packed crowd in the building, like that place was packed. So like
Oh yeah.
that was like a real cool shot.
Yeah, it was a legit sellout, definitely. Um, so yeah, it's one of the other things they did like a rolling sort of Death Valley driver, if you like, on the announce table. But the announce table, it wasn't one of the like flimsy announce tables you get on Raw. It was like a big, thick, hard wooden table, like a ballroom table or something. And they did it, and the table just didn't move, didn't like give way or anything. And I just thought, God, that must have been
I,
sore.
I actually like when the table don't break because it looks like it hurts more when the
Yeah,
tables don't.
yeah.
And then a lot of wrestlers have came out and said that the tables hurt more when it doesn't break versus when it does break. So that like just knowing that in the back of my head, like it makes the spot even better because I'm like, damn, I know that hurt. Like I just know
Yeah.
that hurt.
Um, and then to finish off, they were like on the raised area, sort of on the edge. I think Dave Mastiff headbutts Coffee, and they both fall down, and they go through two tables. It wasn't that high, but then for guys that size, it was high enough to fall. They kind of both got up at around 9, and Joe Coffey kicks the case that Mastiff was leaning on away, so
Mm.
he doesn't get up, and then he wins. But it was to complete silence, like no booze, no music, no nothing. It was just silence. And I think it's safe to say that the crowd wanted Dave Mastiff to win. And I don't think they were expecting it to finish then. I think when they both fell, I think when they both fall, you're kind of expecting maybe a double count out, or like the one person to stagger to their feet. But then when they both got to their feet, I think everyone assumed, oh, it's going to carry on. And then when he kicks the thing away and it ends, I think everyone was taken by surprise a bit.
Yeah, let's say one thing. I don't know if it's just me, but like I kind of want to see like last man standing matches kind of just just fade out a little bit, just for a little while, because like I don't know what it is, but like I feel like some of the like, okay, so the last time we saw a last man standing match, I think it was Braun versus Bobby Lashley at Extreme Rules, right? That was the last one, and Braun just like he like rid of the Bobby, like power slammed him into the to that little section and then broke through, and like that was like a straight up clean win. And then I think what was that takeover Chicago that we saw Johnny Gargano and Ciampa when Ciampa was handcuffed to the stage, and then like he did something to Gargano and like he
He's
kicked the thing
handcuffed
in.
to the
Yeah,
ring,
yeah.
wasn't he? And
And then
he couldn't get up.
yeah, he did that type of thing. And I don't know, man. Like the finish for this one, like you said, the crowd. I don't think the crowd was like that into it. I think that everybody was just kind of more so waiting for it to be over, opposed to it
Yeah.
like they like wanting a decisive finish.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. It was good. It was good. It was entertaining
Yeah, oh yeah,
without
definitely. It was
being
entertaining.
amazing. And like it was just like a big horse battle, just two big blokes beating the crap out of each other. So we got a question. Uh, this Johnny says, I think Gallus could do a good job on the main roster as a group, especially if the main roster go with the trios stables route, like people like me and Sean and Ross Sapp have been calling for, because you could have the likes of Undisputed Era, OC, New Day, RKO Revival, Eco Warriors with Luke Harper added, and then have Gallus come in, maybe led by Drew McIntyre. What do you say about that?
Gallus on the main roster,
Yeah, led by Drew McIntyre.
led by Drew McIntyre. That would be like a Scottish stable.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I like. I would like to see. Well, honestly, I would like to see anybody from NXT UK or NXT on the main roster, or vice versa. Honestly, like I think if given like the right storyline and it caught like this was something that was needed and definite, or it was just a big surprise, I think it would be honestly good to see that. And I think it would be a way to further establish Drew McIntyre on the main roster as well, if that were to happen.
I would like it if they used it to make Drew McIntyre the very, very top heel in the business. So like what they did with Ciampa with NXT, where they just made him the most dastardly biggest heel in the wrestling business.
Yep.
Outside of, say, SmackDown and Raw, but like in the indies and the sort of super indies or whatever you want to call them. If they could make Gallus be his kind of catalyst to make him the biggest heel in the business, then I'm all for it, because I feel like they are wasting him at the moment. But there we go. Next up, we had Kaylee Ray versus Toni Storm. Another amazing video package. The video package made Kaylee Ray seem like a superstar. It was really good. And that is what this division needs, because this women's division is stacked, but they need to make sure they portray these women as stars, because they're all super talented. You've got, like, off the top of my head, you've got Piper Niven, Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm,
Killer
Ginny,
Kelly,
Killer Kelly, Kaylee Ray,
Jazzy
Jazzy,
Gabbard, Zaya
um,
Brookside.
uh, probably Teagan Knox, although she may go to the US NXT. It's unbelievable amount of women. Like, in some ways, they've got a better women's division than NXT US. I think they probably have. But they just need to make sure they portray these girls as like stars. And I thought they did a really good job with the video package of just making Kaylee Ray seem like a big deal. And obviously she went on to win. I really enjoyed the match. I was surprised they took the belt off Toni. And I do think that if they were going to take the belt off her, they should have got longer, and they should have told, like, the story they told was fine in the time they had, but I would have liked to have seen Toni kind of be taken to her limits and kick out a couple of times and kind of it go like a proper championship match.
All
Do you
right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, the story behind the match was good. Like I liked the story because from what they were telling on NXT UK TV, the thing was that to Tony and Kaylee Ray were best friends. And like people know, like they feuded at ICW for a minute over the women's championship. They had their back and forth there, and like I really like the story that they told overall. But I just feel like the crowd wasn't as invested as what the video package presented to them, if that makes sense in a way. Like the video package was really good. Everything made sense leading up to the match. Everything made sense. This wasn't just some thrown together feud. Like this was building like from the first set of the first episode of the UK TV tapers at the Download Festival, and they were building this like the long way. But when it came time to the match, like I don't know what it was. I think them being after Coffee and Mastiff, I think that kind of took the crowd out a little bit, and then that translated over to Kaylee Ray and Tony Storm, and then it didn't help that the match was kind of short. So, you know, it was kind of just like just bad positioning, I guess. And then at that,
Yeah,
you can continue.
I was just going to say, if they were going to have this shorter match, maybe they should have gone at a quicker pace. So it was like 5 minutes of just hell for leather, like really super fast, quick pace, where the story is kind of like they can't wait to get their hands on each other, and it's just all out for 5 minutes of just constant action. But the story they told was good. It just didn't get long enough for me. I really, really like Kaylee Ray's finish. Her gory bomb is nice.
So now that Tony Storm isn't the NXT UK Women's Champion anymore, do we see her on NXT
She
on USA?
she has to go to NXT Live. She has to. And if I was doing it, I would probably send her to NXT Live and send Tegan Knox over to NXT UK, maybe Dakota Kai as well.
Man,
They've
I'm
got, like
telling you.
we just discussed, they've got a very deep, not very deep, but a pretty deep women's roster on the NXT UK side. So like they could take Tony Storm and not send anyone, but
like just a quick off topic here, like so now that Rhea Ripley is appearing on NXT in the US, one thing that I definitely want to have, and look, I love NXT UK, like I like it. I feel like this feud could be great there, but like it would just be a whole nother level in NXT in the US if Rhea Ripley were to beat Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship, and the next person to challenge her would be Tegan Knox. After Tegan Knox inside of her knee basically exploded during the Mae Young Classic against Rhea Ripley. Like that story is literally writing itself. Like I said this on Twitter, like I think it was a few months ago. Like man, Rhea Ripley versus Tegan Knox with the story that is already behind that match. I'm telling you, that thing could main event a takeover. It really could. Like I think people would be seriously invested in that. Like she is like the ultimate baby face. Like just her story and like two year long knee injury that kept her out of action for a year, back to back years. Like man, and then having one of the people that she was in the ring with while that happened, challenging her for the championship at a takeover event. My goodness, please. And November 24th NXT. I hope you listening. Make it happen at Takeover War Games.
She could be Tegan Knox could be the NXT's new Bailey. She is like that super baby face. Everybody likes her. She's really good in the ring. She's got this really likable gimmick and personality. So it's just whether, and they've shown, NXT has shown that they can do it with Bailey and with other people. They can book a babyface and like the main roster. So when she's back now, I think, or she's nearly back.
No, she's back. She's wrestling again.
So like if they can keep her healthy, they could make something really special with her, I feel. Because like she could have the ultimate underdog story culminating at WrestleMania with a title win. So like what you were just saying, if you had that sort of start sowing the seeds now, and then have her beat Rhea Ripley at NXT Takeover WrestleMania weekend, that is something really special. That could be one of those storylines where you see the tears in the crowd and the.
Yes, I think now, like you said, plant the seeds now. Like if anybody's going, like right now, I feel like Shayna Baszler, like she has been like the perfect women's champion. Like she is great, and I think now if there's going to be anybody that's going to beat Shayna Baszler for the title and take it on to that next story, I think it should be Rhea Ripley at War Games, and then you can build a feud between Rhea and Teagan, and cap it off, and WrestleMania weekend in Tampa next year.
Oh yeah, gonna be good. It's a shame that Teagan Knox couldn't have had a match tonight. Actually, that would have been quite nice and poetic for her as well. But
back to the Kaylee Ray versus Toni Storm. But the finish of the match, I mean, it was good, but like I just feel like sometimes you kind of need the crowd to enjoy the match like a little bit more, because the crowd, like whether people like it or not, the crowd makes the match most of the time. Like if they're very into it, it makes the match better than what it is sometimes. And I feel like the crowd kind of left Toni and Kaylee Ray cold. So
Yeah, so here's a question for you. Do you think that they've dropped the ball with Toni Storm's title run?
I wouldn't say necessarily drop the ball with her run. The thing was, like, honestly, back at Blackpool, I didn't even think she should beat Rhea Ripley for the title. Really didn't. I thought Rhea Ripley should have kept running with the belt. But the thing is, Toni Storm was, she's a good baby face, and people love Toni Storm. Obviously, every time she comes out, she gets the Toni Storm, that chant, like that thing rings out for about 5 or 6 minutes. But I don't know what it is, but I think there's more longevity with heel champions, like opposed to babyface champions.
Yeah.
I think Kaylee Ray can be the one to I'm not necessarily into Kaylee Ray yet. Like I'm into her in ring work, but like the character they trying to give off, like she's obviously like a cocky heel, but like I just need that little bit more, like, I guess, edge to Kaylee Ray to take it to the next level for me personally. But I don't think they dropped the ball with Toni Storm's title run. I just think there's more longevity in heels opposed to baby faces.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. So, lastly, main event, Walter versus Tyler Bate.
Man, what a banger.
It was incredible. Now, right before, instead of watching the pre-show, I watched they did like a docu promo thing on the network.
Yeah, the Prime Target.
Prime Target Takeover. 24 minutes, and it was really, really good. And I wish they would do these for big matches and big shows more.
Jeremy Borash does those, right?
Does he?
Yeah, Jeremy Borash does those. He helps out with those a lot. And he did with the one for Gargano and Cole. The last one that they did, yeah, Jeremy Borash helps out with those. Like, he does a great job on that stuff. But yeah, I love the Prime Target Takeover specials on the network.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense that he did. I got to be honest, because it was excellent, real good stuff. Okay, so they kick off, like Walter's theme. It just gives it that big match feel. It's just so good, and like, even though he's like a super heel, the crowd love his theme, and it's just gives it that huge sort of big match feel, like I say. And the crowd is hot now. Before they've even started the match, they are ready.
I say, one thing I really liked about the championship matches tonight, when they do the introductions, I really like this is just a small thing, but I really liked how they darkened like everything, like in the area except for the two people who are wrestling. Like, they even darked out the ring announcer and the referee. Like, you couldn't even see them. Only people you could see was the challenger and the champion. And like, I really like, they even did that during the tag team match. I think like I really like little stuff like that. Like, it really adds a lot to the match.
It does, yeah, you're right. It just adds that bit of extra importance to it, doesn't it? Um, look, Walter is so good, such a good wrestler, man. Everything just so clean and real looking. Everything is just, it's beautiful. He is just a guy who's like at the top of his game as a professional wrestler. You knew it would sort of start off with Walter getting the heat and trying to slow Bate down. But every little thing that Walter does, every like crank of the neck or headlock, or it's for a reason, and I like that a lot.
Walter's a true throwback, man. He's a true throwback
Yeah,
wrestler. He really is.
Proper heel, and he like old school heel. But I think he's done incredibly well to get himself over as a heel and get heat, because he came in, everyone was so happy to see him. Everyone was so happy that he was in NXT UK. Everyone was so happy he was within the sort of WWE umbrella, and they were like, oh, is he going to go to NXT in America? And, it was like a big deal because he's so popular and so good. So to then turn that around in a relatively short space of time and make himself into this like heel who people are genuinely booing, I think deserves a lot of credit for that.
Is Walter still the Progress World Champion? I think he is.
Not 100% sure.
I think Walter still, because I think he's defending the title against David Starr on the 15th, I think, or September. Okay. It's one of those. Yeah. I just wanted to, because I was like, I think he's holding both the titles. Walter is.
Right, okay. I gotta say, Tyler Bate is inhuman. His strength is ridiculous, and I know it's like a gimmick and this and that, but he deadlifted towards the end of the match. He did a deadlift vertical suplex on Walter, who's like a good few inches taller and a good flipping, I don't know, I'm not very good with metric weights and all that sort of stuff, but there's a good few pounds between them in weight.
Man, Walter has to be like a solid 260, 265. And I know Tyler Bate isn't any more than 205. He can't be. Tyler has to be like a solid 190, 180, probably.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Like that big,
to lift someone.
That big strong boy chant is more than just a chant. Like he really is a Tyler Bate. He is strong as hell. He really is.
Yeah. But like, and what adds to it as well is Tyler's quite short.
Oh yeah.
But he's ripped. And if you look, like, his legs and like tree trunks, they're massive. But like, he's ripped. But he looks tiny compared to Walter, because Walter's tall and big and brutal. And it just added to the spectacle. And they just built up this match, and they built it and built it. And like, even like Walter's, like when he was doing a Boston Crab, he'll put a knee in the back, and it just adds those little extra touches just adds to what he's doing to make him this sort of old school heel.
It made you want to root for Tyler Bate. Like, people were already wanting to root for Tyler Bate going into the match, but like, it's just basic David versus Goliath story, man. Like, it's big guy versus little guy, and the little guy won't give up, and like, it's like basic storytelling, man. Like, it's really like simple but great stuff, and people can relate. Like, that's the thing. Some people like really, really relate to that stuff. Like, it's just big guy versus little guy. You want to see the little guy overcome. Like, he keeps absorbing the beat downs, and then he comes back, and he gets shut right back down, and he comes back. Like, it's like you said, man, it's just simple and good stuff. Like, honestly.
Yeah, simple but effective, and it just tells this story that you can relate to. And what happens is, Walter is still Progress champion, and I really liked when he hit the deadlift vertical suplex, which was just incredible. Is Walter kind of gets back up, and he's like staggering around, but it doesn't look stupid because of the way he does it. He just looks like you think he should look. Yeah, he just looks debased, and just like
he looked like he just got punched in the mouth. That's what he looked like.
And then all of a sudden, as Tyler's gone off the ropes, getting ready to like hit the big shot to take him down, Walter turns and hits him with this huge right hand, and it was like he felt like he was in trouble, so he went back to he had to hit this big shot to sort of stop Tyler Bates' momentum.
Yes, one spot that was really crazy that I think was I think you probably want to mention too, because it was just wild when Tyler Bate he did like a springboard off the second rope from on the inside of the ring, and he tried to like backhand Walter, and Walter chopped his back, and the thud was the thud was so loud. Like I was like, Jesus, when that happened, because I'm trying to imagine like how that feels, and I know that does not feel good at all. Like it can't
feel good.
It can't. Like Walter's chops are crazy.
Yeah, but that one in particular was so loud, wasn't it? It was just like, wow. I heard that one at my house, I think. A few miles away.
And speaking of deadlifting, like again, another spot when he deadlifted when they were on the apron, and Tyler flipped them, man, and they fell on the floor. Like, goodness gracious, like that was another thud. Like you said at the beginning of your points, man, Tyler Bate is strong. Like I can only imagine like how like the strength you have to have the deadlift Walter at Tyler Bates' size, and that's what makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, and the other thing is as well, it's like that can't feel good on someone Walter's size going off the apron and hitting the floor at that velocity from a bloody, how high is the apron? It's a good few feet, isn't it? And like Walter's huge. But that was the other thing. Tyler Bate did an aeroplane spin on towards the end of the match. He gets him up on his shoulders. He does an aeroplane spin. I was just at this point, I was just like, geez, what is that? How is
the strength?
Some of these late in the match,
man. I know, like it's like I'm honestly amazed by it too. Like it's really no words to describe like how impressive it is, like to see.
Yeah, and it's not like in the first few minutes of the match when he's fresh. It's like 25 minutes later when
it's deep in the match.
Madness. I like that they did like a little finger crack when they were up on the turnbuckles as like a little nod to Pete Dunne. I thought that was really cool. Overall, I just thought it was an amazing match. I do feel like they could have shaved off a few minutes, not because I didn't enjoy it or I felt like it went too long. I didn't feel like it dragged or it went too long at all, but I feel like the Tony Storm match was too short.
Completely agree.
Wouldn't have been upset if they'd taken a few minutes from this and a few minutes from some of the others to give to the Tony Storm match, rather than this match was too long. Like, the Blackpool main event with Joe Coffey. That was too long and it dragged, whereas this was long but it didn't drag. It was enjoyable from start to finish.
For sure, like this was like action from bell to bell. Definitely was. Like I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and they tore the house down. Like I enjoyed this match way more than I did Dunn Walter at Takeover WrestleMania weekend. Like this match blew that match out of the water. I mean, honestly, you could kind of say that was just because they had way more time. I don't think Dunn Walter at Takeover New York went that long.
Yeah, they didn't have much time, did they? This was like a main event, pay-per-view quality match, and I thought it was a perfect match. Maybe I think
it's definitely going in my matches of the year for sure. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
That's definitely going to my matches of the year. Like they just like I think not Dunn, but Bate and Walter, they have like real good chemistry, and like it's just like I said before, it's so simple, man. You got the big guy and the little guy. It's very easy to tell that story, and then like I'm kind of glad talking to Jeremy Lambert about this from Fightful.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that I didn't see Tyler Bate and Walter's match from Progress's Hello Wembley show, because I kind of feel like I would have been comparing it if I saw that to
Yeah.
this one. So I'm kind of glad I didn't see that. So, that, like, this is just a real good match, man. Bill to bill. The crowd was in it the whole match, the entire match. And it kind of makes me salty a little bit, because I'm like, why weren't they in the Tony Storm versus Kaylee Ray? Like, they could have gave, that little nod to Tony and Kaylee Ray. But, like, literally, they were into the match the entire time, which is very rare.
Yeah, for a match that long, the crowd tends to go in and out of it, doesn't it? Like, they'll be into the start, and then they'll go a bit quiet, and then they'll peak up. But they were just hot all the way through. So yeah, Walter won in the end. Still champion. Walter would be. Can you imagine Walter and Imperium, on the main roster or on NXT Live? If you want to call it.
I don't think it's gonna
So
be long
good.
before we see that, because I definitely think either the British Strong Style or Imperium is gonna be in War Games. I definitely think that's gonna happen.
That's what I messaged you yesterday, wasn't it? I would love to see British Strong Style plus one other person versus Imperium in a War Games match. It'd be so good. But Walter won't do. He doesn't want to go to the US NXT, does he?
I don't think
He
he
has
does.
said he'll do the big shows, though. I think so, and like he did a takeover, didn't he? So the problem is now is with them going live, they can't like fly him out for one day, do a taping of 4 weeks, and then just fly him out for the takeover 3 months later. Like, it's live each week, so it's harder to work around that. I guess they could do vignettes and then have the rest of Imperium, do TV.
The bonus of that, like you said, is I don't really think they need to do that, because that Full Sail crowd knows who these guys are. Like, I can see if they were on the road, every week, and you gotta
Yeah.
reestablish people, but that Full Sail crowd knows who everybody is. So I think if they were to go to NXT, they would get the proper reaction. I mean, I don't want to say it wouldn't matter what the fans who are watching at home would think, but in actuality, like, if they see that the NXT crowd, the Full Sail crowd, is reacting properly to them, giving them the big cheer, they're gonna be like, "Ooh, who are these guys?" Like, or if they're giving them that, well, not big reaction, positive reaction, but those big boos, they'll be like, "Oh, who are these guys? Why they hate these people so much?" And I think that will automatically translate to the casual fan who will be tuning into NXT, and that will get them interested in Walter and Eichner and Bartel and
Yeah,
Alexander
and I
Wolf.
think with new fans and whether it's AEW, NXT Live, Raw, SmackDown, whatever, is if the crowds react to these guys as big deals on TV, new fans will see them as a big deal automatically, just because everyone else is reacting to him. And I think that's the one advantage that AEW and NXT have got over Raw and SmackDown in terms of new viewers, is that the AEW crowd and the NXT crowd will react to the people who are on the TV or in the ring, and they'll react to the storylines accordingly, and they'll give the promotions patience to tell their stories. Whereas Raw and SmackDown, I don't think always get that patience. They get the CM Punk chants, and deservedly so sometimes.
Yeah, so now that Walter has retained the title, do you think it's a possibility that Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner get the NXT UK tag titles now? Now that Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, the babyface team, have the titles, and we get that Imperium holding all the gold and NXT UK thing.
I do think that is probably. I think what they probably might do now is they might put the tag titles on them, do Trent Seven then and Tyler Bate versus Imperium for the tag titles, get them back in the tag division, and then they need to find someone to step up to Walter. Cassius Ohno, maybe. That could be a good one. I don't know. They need like like a popular babyface to go against him, which isn't Pete Dunne or Tyler Bate.
Yeah, like honestly, like I told, like we talked about this earlier off air. I think Pete Dunne is like in ring wise for now. I think he's done in NXT UK. Like he's
Yeah,
done literally everything he needs to do. I feel like he needs to be in NXT live. Like I
yeah,
think, like I said before, I think Pete Dunne's gonna be NXT North American champion real soon. So
that'd
but
be good.
as far as Tyler Bate goes, they have literally made him the biggest baby face in NXT
Yeah,
UK, like literally off this match. And to add, like I'm pretty sure we were going to talk about this, but Trent Seven and Pete Dunne coming out and helping them out, giving them the big, because they like, I don't want to sit here and call them like the big three, like they created NXT UK all their own, but like and they kind of
two
did
face.
in a way,
Yeah.
like they
Do you know
built
what
the
else?
brand was built around them.
Do you know what match I would like to see? Is Pete Dunne versus Matt Riddle. That's what I would like to see.
And you
Them
probably gonna
two
get it.
feuding.
Probably gonna get it real soon. I don't think that's too far off.
Yeah,
But yeah, do you ever get that
hopefully.
feeling when
So overall, I thought,
I would say do you ever get that feeling overall, like when they like those in end of the show uh end of the show segments when you have three guys who know each other or two guys who know each other in the same spot, you think they're gonna turn like
yeah,
like I don't know why, but like when I saw when Tyler Bate stepped away from Pete and Trent and Tyler like kind of kneeled over, Pete looked at Trent and I was like, please don't do this right now. Like, do not do
I
this.
thought they were going to do the DIY where they
Yeah,
put the thing up on the
exactly.
screen to
The
say
lower third.
finishes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The dangerous lower third.
Oh yeah. But yeah, they didn't. Um, Overall, I thought it was a really fantastic show. I enjoyed every match really. Like everything was enjoyable. I thought it was better than Blackpool by quite a long way, and I thought they learned the lessons from Blackpool as well, which I think is important for a relatively new brand. Is if you make mistakes, which everyone makes mistakes. AEW will make mistakes. NXT has made mistakes. Is you don't keep making them, you rectify them as soon as you can, and I thought they did that. Um, Main event was, like you said, was an absolute banger. And I thought the tag team match was excellent as well.
Oh yeah,
Thought it was real,
top two
real
matches of
good.
the night. Top two matches of the night
Absolute.
for sure. So now I gotta ask you, what is next? I'm gonna ask you this. What do you see what is next for Flash Morgan and Mark Andrews? What do you see next for Kaylee Ray? And what do you see next for Walter? And I'll answer the same.
So Kaylee Ray, I think, will be either Zaya Brookside or, although she lost the other day, so maybe not her. Let me just have a quick look at those women. Zaya, Piper Nevin. If Rhea Ripley's going to go to NXT US, then I think Piper Nevin will go after Kaylee Ray. And what was the other one? Walter. Oof, he's a hard one now because I don't know who they're gonna put him up against. I don't know.
And then Flash Morgan
They haven't
Webster and
got Flash Smoke. I think the Imperium will beat them at the TV tapings.
okay, so yeah,
Which
I'm going.
I said to you yesterday. I think they're gonna drop the titles straight away.
So yeah, I'm thinking for Flash Morgan and Mark Andrews. I think they're Cinderella win, but they got that. But I think that's all gonna come to an end. They're gonna put the titles on Imperium soon. For Kaylee Ray, but I think Kaylee Ray's gonna beat a couple people for the retain her title, and I think she's ultimately gonna drop the title to Jenny by way of Jazzy Gabbard. I think Jazzy Gabbard's gonna help Jenny become NXT UK Women's Champion eventually. And for Walter, I think next up for Walter, I think Jordan Devlin. I think that's what's next. Jordan Devlin.
Yeah, they did seem to be angling him towards a big storyline on TV. Did you see that promo he cut where someone interrupted him, and did seem as if they're positioning him for another push.
Yeah.
And I think he's improved a lot since the original UK tournament. I think he's worked hard to improve, and he's been doing quite well on the UK independent scene. So I think
Jordan Devlin is definitely title contender worthy and maybe even championship worthy. He really is good. Like the only thing I don't like is like when people, like it's like a small thing. I get it's a joke, but like people they call him like fake Finn Balor. Like the crowd literally chants it at him. So like it's like it's kind of like But I mean, right now Walter is literally like Shayna Baszler. Like it's like dominant champions, and you can't really see anybody right now taking the title off them. Like is like that's kind of the thing. And I think kind of in relation, this is kind of how the main roster people are with Braun Strowman, because once you like believability wise, I don't even know if that's a word, but yeah, but when you have Braun Strowman, you got this big monster, right? So once you put the title off on him, who's gonna beat him?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, unless you're doing specialty matches all the time. Exactly. Yeah, or him, or the Fiend.
He's gonna beat everyone. I'd like to see NXT UK bring in Joe Hendry.
He just signed with Ring of Honor.
Oh, son of a... Because I was hoping when he finished with Impact that he would go, because I think he could do some really good stuff with NXT UK, because he works really well as a babyface, but he can also work really well as a heel. That's a shame.
But yeah, Joe just signed with Ring of Honor. He's gonna be doing some stuff with them.
They need some guys anyway. Ring of Honor. Okay.
So you excited before we wrap it up? You excited about the big October we got? Well, the big years I guess we got coming up in wrestling. We got SmackDown on Fox. We got Raw, NXT Live, AEW, NXT UK. We got the NWA starting weekly television in October, and Ring of Honor. I know Ring of Honor, their COO Joe Koff said that Ring of Honor could be doing weekly television soon. So there's a lot of wrestling.
Well, Ring of Honor go live?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
They could. That's what he said. He said that could be the next step, which I don't see is I don't think that's a long shot at all, especially that they're under Sinclair Broadcasting. So
no, it's easy enough for them to do, I think. Be interesting, because if they go live as well as the others, all of a sudden the talent pool is going to shrink, because once all of those companies are on live TV, they ain't going to want to share. They ain't going to want to share their talent, and it all becomes a bit trickier then. And you've got to be careful. They've all got to be clever with how they book people, because you've got to keep everyone happy, because if you don't keep them happy, they'll be gone, because they'll go somewhere else for big money. It's exciting for wrestling fans, mate.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
Incredible period. This period coming up to the Rumble now is going to be amazing.
For sure, man. They said once again, I do want to thank you for bringing me on, though. As always a pleasure talking. And the thing I love about this the most, like when me and you do the podcast and we get off topic, because the off topic conversations are like real good.
Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, you can find Andrew on Twitter at @ADThompson__. You can check out his YouTube channel, Andrew Thompson Interviews, as well, because he's got some amazing interviews on there, and they are awesome with some big names. You can check me out on Twitter at ACEcast_nation, youtube.com/AcePodcastNation, and all your usual podcasting platforms for the audio versions. New shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, plus the occasional extra show when there's a big wrestling event on. Thank you for joining me, Andrew, and enjoy All Out.
I say thank you for having me, man.
It's all good, buddy. And we'll see you next time, guys. Cheers.